one for
No
me.
more technical difficulties.
Just give
That's
me
it. Always good in rock world. How you doing there, Scott?
Doing great. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing fantastic.
Awesome to hear. Awesome to hear. How you doing, Tony?
Doing well, man. Doing well. How's it going?
Cool. Yeah, you guys in your respective places, Tony in New York and Mike in Muscle Shoals?
Yeah.
That's right.
Awesome, man. It is awesome to have you guys again, man. This is great. More music from you guys. Let me do a short introduction and we'll get into it. Today I am talking with Mike Mostert and Tony Covino of In Theory. Their last single, Heroes, did very well at radio. Their latest single, The River Song, has nailed down another #1 I just saw this time in Australia, going international, nailing down #1 spots. Just another great song. Looking forward to more. Mike, Tony, again, thanks for being here, man.
Thank you, Scott.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having us. Thanks for the big intro. Hopefully we can live up to it.
Oh man, you guys already have. Just these songs are doing so well, and it's so great to see because of the type of music you're doing too. It's not always it's not in mainstream as we know it now so much, but there's still an audience for this, and that's so great to see. You guys are really bringing out that audience, and they're pleased to hear what you guys are doing for sure.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I see. Think the the genre is on a comeback. There's a lot of good bands that are coming out, hopefully including us. That it's. I think people are hungry for authentic rock and roll, original rock and roll. No auto tune. It's so pure emotional. Sort of the way it used to be. And I see there's a lot of bands coming out, a lot of good bands, and I think the genre is making a comeback.
Yeah.
In fact, there was a great article at it was a Guitar Player or one of the newest magazines, and they're classifying it as a new modern classic rock or something similar to that, and they were naming all these up and coming bands or new bands, even bands like Rival Sons that they considered new, but they've been around for 12 or 13 years. Right. But they're mentioning a lot of guys where we would fit exactly in that category as well. So so what Tony was saying, I do feel that it is on an upswing, and the audience is growing for that again, or craving that.
Yep. And there's a lot of, I've done a lot of interviews lately with really young kids, talking about 19, 20 years old, who are doing, raw classic rock and roll with blues tinge to it and really emotionally driven. It's so great to see young people, especially, getting into this and bringing it to that crowd, that demographic. How I wanted to ask you that, you guys do a classic hard rock bluesy thing. It's not a genre for the young crowd, the mainstream young crowd, what they listen to today. How important do you think it is to get to that young demographic, and what will it take?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I mean, I think it's going to be definitely important, but it's going to take guys like yourself. I really think that there's a couple of pieces to the puzzle. It's going to take a lot of support from radio and the podcast and the fans of the music, and the other component is having the bands that that are like us or in this category take a lot of pride in what we're doing, and make it fresh and exciting for this new audience. Because we do feel while we are established, this is a brand new genre. For us, it's a new spin on what our previous incarnations are. Mm-hmm. And this is what we feel. So I think I think that's a big thing. We just have to make it fresh. We have to make people feel the emotion and have the radio support it, and just work hard at it. And I think it'll create an excitement. It'll find its audience, and the audience will find us.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, and radio is cooking with you guys. It's really, really cool to see. Um, the first question I really thought when I was gonna have you guys, and I thought, all right, I've heard Heroes, and now I get the River song. The question still, when are we getting the album? Will there be an album? Are you going to release singles? I listened to River Song and I immediately thought, I want more. What's the plan?
Well, I mean, we actually have two songs that are done already that aren't released yet, and we're currently working on, I believe, two to three more that are in the going back and forth stages. So we'll hopefully in the next couple of months we can maybe put some stuff out. I mean, we're still trying to think about how we want to release it. If we just want to release it all at once, or maybe do 2 songs at a time. It's like a different world now, so we're trying to figure out what's the best thing. I see some bands are just putting whole records out all at once, which is cool. So I think we just got to kind of, but we do have a couple in the can, and we all working on some. I mean, that's really a matter of timing and when we can get into the studio to finish things up.
Excellent. Good news. Good to hear that there's a couple in the can, for sure. As fans, we hear one and we want to hear another one right away. I'm an old school guy. I love that big record, and I love the ebb and flow and the peaks and valleys of a full record. But I get this releasing singles. I think it's really effective for the artist. As much as I don't want to say that, because I'd love a full album, but I think you release 10 songs. And 2 of them go to radio and they do well, maybe 3, and then the other 7 are for the people that buy the album or actually listen to the entire thing. It's very hard to get 10 full pieces on radio or get to people's ears. So I really do understand the releasing of the singles, because each one has a specific attention drawn to it.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sam. I think it's a balance. Our goal is to put out a record. And like Tony said, we already have 2 that are finished, and then probably we'll have another 2 finished in the next month. It's a brand new world of marketing, brand new world of getting your music out there. But I'm also, just like you, I'm a fan of, if you can get everyone can, if you want to call it encapsulated time, like when you listen to Aerosmith, Rocks, it captured a time. If you listen to the White Album, that's what they were feeling when they recorded the White Album. This is what Led Zeppelin, Physical Graffiti, that's what they were feeling at that time. And there's something about hearing a cohesive, in a way, it becomes a cohesive thought in time versus just a single. So it's a balance. But again, with those records, it wasn't just 1 or 2 that people liked. They had to listen to the entire record from start to finish, over and over and over and over, and catch the whole vibe. And whether it doesn't matter, Van Halen 1, Van Halen 2, they have to capture. Like you couldn't listen to the very last song without remembering "Running with the Devil." If you listen to Van Halen 1, you just know it. But it captures that whole record.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of a balance, and that's why we also initially we had released the River song sort of under the radar, because there was actually such a strong response from Heroes, and from radio and from the fans, that I really want to actually, like, in a way, encapsulate what we're doing now. Like, okay, well, if you hear the River and the Hero songs, now you're getting a better picture of what the band in theory is about. you know, and if you add a third one sooner than later, then you'll get a bigger scope. And then so what I'm hoping for is then you do an entire record. But I think 3 or 4 will encapsulate that time. Like, okay, now I know what these guys are about at this time.
Yeah, and that's I definitely see that, because I do hit the, you know, the River Song is not drastically different, but it is a different look at In Theory for sure. And you know, same great qualities and musicianship and all of that, but you know, it goes to a different place, and that's fun. I like that, you know. You have your party rock bands and stuff, and it's great, and but you know, a lot of it is very focused in one area. I love that broad scope that you're talking about and bringing out. Can't wait to see it. Speaking of broad scope, you guys, of course, had Big Mouth in the '90s. So, how do you get from Blowing in the Wind to Big Mouth to the River Song? How is that transition? You know, is it just a matter of getting older? Is it exploring deeper music? How do you get from that place to this one?
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know if it's getting older. I think it's just, you know, you go through different things in your life, and you're listening to different music. And back with Big Mouth, that was, you know, sort of like that metal era, you know. And for that time, that's what it was. It was like a big rock show, big sounding record, strong vocal, you know. So that was that time. Now this time's a little bit different. We're more or less metal, but we're rock and roll soul now, you know, along that genre. But as far as a singer, honestly, to me, there's not that much difference. I mean, I know I'm singing a little differently on this, but I've sang emotionally on that stuff, and I sing emotionally on this stuff. I might tailor it a little differently. This is more like a rock and roll rather than a kind of Ronnie James Dio kind of thing. But this is more a rock and roll, like a, you know, Robert Plant kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So as a singer, it's still, I've always sang the way I sang, you know. Just now, it's just a little bit different, you know, maybe because I have different influences and stuff like that.
Right. Mike, how about your playing and stuff? Do you feel like you're quite a different player than you were back then?
Oh, yeah, I think I'm a way different player. How I approach writing, how I approach riffs are quite different. That's a big thing. I think through the years, I think all these influences that have been in me, I've been able to now bring out in theory, and I think that's a bigger difference, say, that versus Big Mouth. Where Big Mouth, we were, you know, not necessarily you put it in a box, but you put it in a box of a certain genre. And what I'm doing now is, you know, I'm going to use all my influences, and they're all coming to the surface, whether consciously or subconsciously. And whether it's blues, whether it's a touch of jazz, whether it's there's stuff I'm doing like from Rage Against the Machine, and so still, of course, the metal stuff. So yeah, I think there's a growth. Not only just guitar playing, but just like what I hear in my mind is really more of the bigger growth of where Big Mouth started and where we're continuing now with In Theory. And I also think from a lyrical standpoint, while, you know, Tony, I mean, you know, I do think Tony sings a little bit different. I disagree with him a little bit. He's still, it's different. I do think he has his screams are wider, his growls are deeper. There's a more depthness to his vocal style, but lyrically, there's layers lyrically to what we're doing, and I'm also extremely conscious of, as a guitar player, how I'm writing the music. There's depth to it. I'm not sure how you listen to music, but some people listen to it just like in their car or on the phone. But if you hear the productions that we're doing now and the guitar playing, and even vocally, when you hear it in the headphones and you really turn it up, you'll hear something new. I can almost guarantee new every single time you play that same song, because we were just experimenting and going as deep as we can. So I think, yeah, so I think my style has changed to try to capture that.
Excellent. Yeah. And yeah, and what you were doing back then was emotional and emotionally driven. And you guys are, you're musicians. You're vested in what you do. Uh, you know, Tony's vocal, uh I hear a lot of soul and tone in this that I might not have heard back then, but both emotionally driven. Uh, passion. The passion's there for sure
Right.
in all of it. um when you write, what inspires the lyrics? You say that it's very lyrical for you, and that holds a lot of weight. What inspires the lyrics so much? Is it experiences, or made up fantasy kind of thing, or what exactly gets you there?
Well, uh, usually it's never fantasy. It's always reality based. But I try not to pinpoint. Like I guess I have the emotion first, and then I try to fit lyrics to the emotion. So if I don't like certain things that are going around me or in the world or whatever's going on, there's a certain feeling I get, and then once we put riffs together and stuff like that, I sort of like try to bring that emotion out lyrically. So that's the way I kind of operate. And a lot of times when we write, I famously call it smush mouth. So I would come up with melody lines over guitar parts, but I always sing the melody lines, even though I'm not singing the right words. I always try to capture the emotion, and then I try to fit lyrics to that emotion. And it kind of, sometimes it paints me into a corner because it's kind of, sometimes the mush mouth words fit better.
Right.
Because I'm singing certain things in a certain way, and then I'm trying to fit now lyrics and have the lyrics say something. And
Right.
but that's just the way I operate. I basically, it's an emotional, it's a reality base.
Yeah, awesome. Do you guys remember when you first met each other? Because you've known each other a lifetime. It's really, really great relationship that you guys have, and musical relationship, and as well as personal, I'm sure. Um, do you remember when you guys first met?
Yeah, I auditioned for Big Mouth. That's how I met Tony. And we have this running joke. They had the audition of this, they had this long line of like guitar players of one, and I happened to be the one. So the bar was raised low, and I was able to limbo underneath that bar, and that's when I met Tony. And and really the music friendship started almost immediately. We clicked musically, and we got to know each other as friends quite quickly. And and of course, there was tragedies in both our lives that bonded us even closer. With 6-7 months of us meeting, both our brothers died. So that was another deep connection. And Tony is, what should I say? We're more than bandmates. We're more than friends. I think in a lot of ways we're deeper than family. We just have this, this special bond, and I'm very fortunate to get to work with them again. But all the stuff gets, it's very cool for me because we get to bring all that into what we're doing musically. All the emotions of our friendships, whether it's days where I want to choke Tony and Tony wants to choke me, and where it's like a family thing. But we know I can curse Tony out and vice versa. But the next day, we're gonna write a kick-ass song, and it doesn't affect it in one way. We just let it roll off our back how family would.
That's awesome. And I think it does come through in music. That chemistry and that that love and friendship that you have for each other is really special.
But I do want to say one thing before we move on, and we're doing an interview. But today is Tony's birthday, so
all right,
Tony, happy birthday!
I wish I knew, man. Happy birthday, Tony. That's awesome, man. Very cool. Very cool. Benicia Latimer. that's a name that comes up when I think of In Theory. I think of you guys and Lanisha Latimer. She is something special. Of course, backup singer for Stevie Wonder. She is on the River Song here. Just flavor all over. These future songs, how much does she play a part? Is she a major player in that In Theory sound?
I think it's actually her. Yeah, she's definitely a big part. She adds a certain flavor that gives us whatever, a little bit of a swampiness, you know, little gospel thing. We almost call her our how Mary Clayton was to the Rolling Stones.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot who does it with Sting, and there's also a female that does it with Peter Gabriel, but she's our version of that. And to have somebody of that caliber, and if you notice in the music, even though she's a backup singer, there's spots where she's doing some lead vocals in between. But really the secret sauce is that Tony and her blend so well together. And that's really a great thing, because you can get, you know, all these great singers together, but the voices don't blend is one. And I think the other thing with, I mean, yeah, she's, you know, definitely one of my favorite singers. And one of the cool things with her, she's so trained at, obviously, you know, working with Stevie Wonder for such a long time, of what the role of a backup singer. So she knows how to enhance Tony as well. And I listen to how she cuts lines off to let Tony phrase the end, where typical, if it's even Tony doing a harmony to himself, he probably wouldn't do it that way. Or if you took another lead singer, they would not do it that way. And then the other thing that I noticed of working with both of them is how much they influence each other. You know, they're in the mutual admiration club of each other, but you know, where I'm hearing a little bit more soul, I think because Tony does hear Lanisha, and when I have Lanisha in the studio, she's like, "Oh, you want more Tony in me?" I'm like, "Yes, you give me more Tony, you give me more Lanisha." But it's so funny that they're subconsciously always hearing each other sing, that they're influencing each other. And so yeah, she's key, and I think another person who's really key for us in the Theory is Clayton Ivey, you know, down here from Muscle Shoals, and he's just a beast on that Hammond B3. I think honestly, like when I was playing with him, I think flames were coming out of that speaker. You know, everybody was taking cover when that guy plays.
It's so cool.
And I think again, the fact that he's so aggressive and he loves what we're doing. Like, you know, I think in Muscle Shoals, these guys are known for a particular sound, right? They have that Muscle Shoals R&B, and they're, you know, typically people are hiring these people out for a specific sound. But when I'm working with them, I'm like, no, take that sound out of you. Just give me you, and you do your thing. Just go for it. And he just rips it. And again, like, he's very complimentary to Tony's vocals. So, you know, he's, you know, like, he fits the music, but he knows to take his spots to showcase the vocals. And if there's a little spot, he knows when to go and take his little, not his little riffs, but when he does his riffs, he knows when to be supportive and when to take the lead. And, you know, Lanisha is, I feel the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're all enhancements more than, you know, everything coming at you at once. And that is so
right.
You know, just to hear that hum of that Hammond in back, man, is just so cool to the vocal and the rhythm that's going on. It just adds so much. And same, you know, like with Lanisha, just, you know, to hear her come in and leave and enhance that lead is it's phenomenal the way it's done. It's just so perfectly done. Really, it makes it so special. Really unique sound that In Theory gets with those qualities, with those people. Incredible. Mike, you're doing a project with Lanisha, I understand, right? Lanisha Mostert? Yeah.
Yeah, Lanisha. Yeah, we were trying to figure out the name, but
Okay.
yeah, it's a little bit more like an R&B blues thing, and just recently put out a single. It's like a pop single. It's
Dance Alone.
Dance Alone. It's very influenced by you hear a lot of Brian Wilson pet sounds in the production. I would like to think it's like if Brian Wilson was around, doing that style of music in 2020. It's that if you really listen to it, there's a lot of Brian Wilson, especially Wilson, George Martin, and if you call the soul of Babyface and what we're trying to capture. And and it was, and again, well, with her, it was like there was so many series of that song had so many challenges trying to make it happen, and as the whole process is, but yeah, we're working with some stuff, and I know that she was all excited last night, and I think there will be some exciting things for overall promotion for both In Theory and the music I'm doing with her. I think she's doing a week with Jennifer Lopez.
Wow.
I think, and then either next week or the week after.
Yeah.
But she was all on fire last night. I got a text at 2 a.m, and I'm doing Jennifer Lopez. I'm going to do a lot of promotion. I want to talk about the music, and so yeah. So she's jumping through the roof to get back out there on the road.
That's cool. Yeah, everything seems everybody's making dates, and things are opening up, and man, I'll tell you. You guys gotta love seeing that, and as a fan, I love seeing that for sure.
Oh yeah, we're craving it now. Now Tony and I are brainstorming how we're gonna, how we're gonna actually pull this off live. It's
right.
The other thing, because I think we are going to try to start off in the very first show doing the launch in Muscle Shoals. Just because it's been such a it's been such an influence on everybody. I mean, not only Tony, everybody that was involved. I mean, I brought Lanisha down, I brought Tony down, and of course working with Clayton and Justin and David Hood and all these great players. I think it'll be great to do something special in this town, and they would appreciate a singer like Tony. And that's always, it's a funny thing, and I'm not sure if Tony actually really believes me or not. Tony, but really the first reaction, even though In Theory is a band, but you put the tracks on, and I don't care if it's Clayton or Lanisha or Spooner or the legendary Swamper guys who sold 400 million records that have worked with Aretha or Percy. Well, when they hear In Theory, it's like, oh my God, who is that singer? So everybody out here is really craving to not only see Tony, but they want to hear Tony and see him live. And there's a big mystery of who Tony is. And a lot of these, it's another funny thing, a lot of these legendary guys, they really swear up and down that they have worked with Tony, which is a whole other story. So they think I'm an actor guy that's bringing Tony in to do, like, they think I'm some famous actor. And they'll ask me about my movies, and I always make a joke, yeah, there's a movie in Russia I did, which I can't publish. But they'll ask me about, like, oh yeah, when I saw you in the movie, and I rarely try to correct people. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm glad you really liked my work on that. But they're thinking like Tony's this this superstar, and I'm a superstar in the movie entertainment world, and Tony's this rock god.
Nice.
But they're all really, I mean, they're all just want to see him and hear him live. So I think how fitting in such an amazing music town.
No doubt.
To bring in, because I want to bring in like, of course, to do it with like a half combination of, partial In Theory, and then bring in, the drummer, Andy from Missing Persons, of course, bring in Lanisha, and then bring in Justin Holder, who's the next generation drummer of what we call it, the Swampers and Muscle Shoals, and he's just a beast. And I'm not sure if we sent you some of the other up and coming tracks, but when you hear him too, he's just a beast of a drummer, and he's becoming slowly a bigger part of In Theory as well. So if you can picture, he's got the R&B Muscle Shoals thing meets John Bonham. That's what this kid, this guy is. Just a beast. And again, very complimentary of In Theory and what we're doing musically. And again, he knows how to take his spots. So he's grooving, but aggressively. He lets Tony tee off. But there's a spot in between Tony, Clayton, myself, and Anisha.
Yeah.
That guy will find it and still do these fills, but still with the groove in the pocket that you would love from Bottom.
Yeah. Man, oh man, that is just awesome. Yeah, it's chemistry. It's professionals knowing when not to play. That kind of thing. Just really, really great to hear professionalism like that and chemistry for sure. Tony, that's got to feel good hearing that from a crowd like that, so enthusiastic about your voice. How have you kept your voice up over the years? You've been doing this a long time. You keep your voice in shape. You got great tone, great strength, great range. Do you have a daily regimen that you follow?
Yeah, I do. I studied voice professionally, and every day I do my scales. I still do my tapes. I just sort of this thing, like I'm always afraid to lose something. Like I never want to, it's sort of like working out. You don't want to stop working out for a year and then all of a sudden you want to be in shape. You can't, the older you get, you can't really snap your finger, and I see other singers who didn't take it as serious and maybe they're not as good as they used to. Like I'm always trying to just maintain what I have. So yeah, on a daily, honestly, every day, basically it's working out for your vocals. You're stretching your chords. Honestly, I'm going to sound stupid, but I don't really drink. I don't really, not into the drug thing.
Yep.
I work out, 6 days a week. Like I'm just constantly in this mode of, I just feel like I just need to be ready for anything. And I've always been like that. I mean, Mike can attest to that. I'll be in the car doing my voice scales. I'll be in a broom closet at the recording studio doing my voice scales. And everybody's like, who's this guy? There's plenty of times where people are like, who's this guy in the closet? Like, lunches and,
But he wasn't really doing voice scales. He's just using that as an excuse. I didn't want to ask him what he was doing in the closet.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's sort of that thing, like you never sing before you're ready kind of thing. Like you always need to warm up and stuff like that. And there's certain singers that could just do it naturally and not do anything that I'm doing, and more power to them. I'm just not, I'm sort of like that small football player that, I can get open and catch the ball, but I shouldn't be on the field with the bigger guys. I got to stay in the gym. I got to do all those things. And a lot of guys don't have to, but this is what works for me.
And it is working, my friend. It is working well. Outside writers, do you guys write everything yourselves, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Did you ever think about like outside writers? There's these guys, these Desmond Child type guys, the big writers. What do you think somebody like that would bring to In Theory?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that we're going to probably just, as an experiment, we are going to try at least one song with somebody. I'll just give you his first name and not his last name, but I brought him in as one of the co-writers at the, towards the tail end of when I was working with Anisha on Dance Alone. And him and I met by accident through the guys from The Voice and American Idol. And it was, it started off as we were remembering each other, but as the night went on, and see, I'm quite different than Tony. So I'm there with other singers, like you mentioned. We're all doing Jack Daniels, we're in the Marriott suites and we're doing Jack Daniels and we're bonding like bros. You know, it's a little bit different. And, but how I was introduced to him by this other, I should say, you know, quite a famous guy who's got this great super country group right now, was he went up to this writer, because he told me what project he was working on. And he says, you know, I'm outside with the writers and you should go meet with them. And it ended up this particular singer and I just ended up just sharing steak and left all the writers out. Then the writer came in, and how I was introduced was, hey, he goes, you know, Mike owns his companies, but he's a serious guitar player, producer. You should really hear his stuff. And how I was introduced to him was, Mike, like, this guy's no joke. It was really funny. I was being a wise ass. He goes, he's got a bucket load of #1 hits. Right. And again, I was just trying to be whatever, I was just in the mood. And I go, a bucket load? What's a bucket load? And he goes, well, you know, like, he has like 7 #1 hits. I go, well, that's not really a bucket load, you know. You know, 7. I go, maybe, you know, 15, 20 hits. That'll be a bucket load. And then the very next thing he said, he goes, well, tell Mike how many top 10 hits you have. And the guy's like, well, at least over 50.
Wow.
Like, okay. And from that, every week, this gentleman, his name's Brian, we talk all the time. And he's really become a very close friend, you know, and we're going through right now, we've been going through the same circumstances in our life with, you know, parents and relationships. So we really got the bond, and you can tell he's got such a good heart, besides having, you know, a great talent. And why I was thinking about him for Tony and I is because of how his style of writing would fit with Tony, and in theory, when I was doing the thing with Lanisha, I was out doing recordings in California, and we just couldn't get anything going that day. And this out of the blue, I was just like, you know what? I met this writer, and even though I know he has all these hits, I go, he's a really nice guy. I have no idea what songs he's done, but he seems like a really nice guy. We hit it off, and you know, she was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's get him in. Let's write with him. And you know, we took pictures at the studio, and then next day, here I am. I'm surfing. I'm out in California surfing, and this guy starts leaving comments on my post, like, Mike, that's the way you live life. Go surf, or I love the studio pictures. And then he sends me a personal message saying, we should write. Let's get together and write. So I thought that was a sign that I had that conversation a day before without speaking with him, and he took it upon himself to say, let's write. And then I shared the experience with Tony. I go, you know, it was such a the guy has such a positive energy, and the way he writes is to catch a vibe off the singer. So I think he'll be able to capture Tony not only as a singer, but as a person. And that's what we're going to try to experiment and bring him in for one song. It's not just like he's a writing machine. He's just, you know, he really would, you know, just like how we're doing the Zoom thing, he wants to capture an energy and a vibe.
Right.
And you know, and we'll work from there and see if there's magic, great. If it doesn't work, great. Mm-hmm. But he would be my first choice in doing this.
Very cool. Yeah, and that's, you know, that's pretty exciting. A lot of bands won't go there. You know, just I don't know. I hear that a lot, where, you know, we know what we want to do, and we are who we are, and you know, and I can appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, I think that'll be interesting to get another take that might take you somewhere that you didn't know you could go, you know?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, I either it'll be amazing or it won't.
Yeah,
So,
right.
I know. Well, I mean, off that point, those bands who, I mean, we've never done it, so I get it. But
yeah,
those bands that say no one's helping them from the outside, I mean, when they go into a studio with a producer, a lot of times the producer's making key decisions on why hits are hits,
mm-hmm.
but they'll never get the credit. You know,
Right.
It's always, oh, the band's great. But if you go back in time and you think of all the production decisions that were made by some of these guys, to include songs that the band didn't even want on the record, Now, at some point, you have to give props to people outside your circle.
Yeah.
So
And you mentioned that, and I just noticed that Michael Wagner had retired. Long time metal guy in the 80s and 90s, and just an amazing producer. I had a chance to talk to him years ago, and he was just so interesting to talk to. But you could tell that, like you were saying, he had major input on these records. I mean, he's listed as the producer, and not a lot of people, him. A lot of people know the name, but that there were major. You could tell that there were major decisions made when he was behind the glass there. That had great influence on success or not success. So that's one of those things. The outside source, that outside set of ears that isn't as close to the music maybe, can be helpful for sure.
well, I think so.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I'm gonna let you guys go. I know Tony's got a lot of celebrating to do. Very cool. I'm thrilled to death that you spent some time on your birthday with us. It's so cool. Live shows. Do you have any kind of plan, like bringing this in, getting that Hammond sound? Who you're gonna take, maybe? If you do a few shows, is that any kind of that in the works?
There's definitely talks about it. I mean, like I said, pre-pandemic, there were definitely talks about us going and doing the festival route, and we're fortunate to have a lot of friends slash, in a way, almost family, but they're friends that in the industry that want to take us under the wing, and we can do those, be exposed to like a festival or a larger audience than than the typical route of a band in our situation. So those talks are opening up, but the way the unraveling right now, the way they're rolling out the shows, everybody's scrambling right now, because everything's opening up so quick. So we're trying to fit that in with what's going on, catching up with the booking agents, catching up with the other bands. So I think even a lot of the other bands are just getting dates, throwing them so fast that, but that would be the plan. And most likely it would be sort of like a Southeast going up to, East Coasting would probably be the first route. And then doing, like the rock festival route. And, that's sort of the plan. But I do, like I said earlier, I want to start off with, doing something out with the Muscle Shoals thing to really kick the thing off with the people that are on the record. So I know that some will be able to come on the road with us, and some won't.
Right.
So that's the plan.
Very cool. That'd be pretty special. Man, would I love to make it down to Muscle Shoals to see that, man. That's very, very cool. Guys, I can't thank you enough. The River Song doing well. Let's continue to push it and get people listening to In Theory, man. This is it's exciting. I hope to see you on the road for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. You definitely will.
Very cool. Very cool. Tony, happy birthday. Thank you so much for spending a little time with us. Have a great day for sure. Until next time, guys. Thank you so much, man.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
All right. You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.